Cold Hard Truth on Business, Money, and Life by Kevin OLeary. Cold Hard Truth on Business, Money, and Life is the first of the 3 books where Kevin OLeary delivers his cold hard truth about money and finances. The book is an autobiography where every major life event is carefully observed and a business lesson is distilled. Kevin OLeary is best known as Mr. Wonderful in the business reality TV shows Shark Tank and Dragon's Den, where he is famous for being brutally honest and most concerned about his loyal soldiers, his money. Mr. Wonderful is also a very successful businessman and investor, the owner of OLeary Funds. Please subscribe to our channel and like this video if you find it useful. We thank you kindly. We will also leave an Amazon link for the book in the description below for your convenience. Kevin OLeary gives a lot of credit to his mother Georgette for his success in life. Her family descends from a long line of Lebanese merchants, and from an early age on, she was in charge of running the family business. Georgette developed a real talent for managing money and avoiding unnecessary debt. She passed down to her son her core philosophy: invest in assets that pay dividend and never spend the principal, just the investment. Like many other successful people, Kevin OLeary struggled with dyslexia as a kid, but thanks to a revolutionary at the time, teaching methods was able to turn his weaknesses into strengths. To compensate for his deficits, his brain had been developing coping skills that made Kevin visually and verbally gifted. Later in life, he learned not to worry about his weaknesses, but to identify them and hire people to fill the gaps they create. Kevin's stepfather's job was related with a lot of traveling around the globe, and the whole family moved several times on different continents. The early years Kevin spent getting acquainted with diverse cultures profoundly shaped his politics and influenced his investment style later in life. One of the lasting legacies of these international postings was Kevin's parents' insistence on blending into any culture, rather than existing parallel to it. Kevin learned he was born to work for himself when he was fired as a teenager for not following the employer's orders. He would later understand that even when you're in business for yourself, you are still serving someone else, the customers and the shareholders. Still, this humiliating incident did Kevin a great favor. He discovered he wouldn't be happy as an employee and went back to school to make something of himself. As an artistic soul with a good eye for photography, the 18-year-old Kevin decided he wants to be a photographer. His father was quick to explain that this is rather a hobby that would have to be supported by other jobs. And the question was, what are you willing to do in order to be what you want to be? Since Kevin was not willing to lay bricks during the day to be able to shoot photos at night, he enrolled in the university. His passion for photography later saved him academically, as he produced a documentary for his MBA thesis. When asked if he thinks an MBA is worth the expense, Kevin OLeary says it puts more skills in your toolbox, and more importantly, leaves you well connected with successful people around the globe. Kevin's first business was also in the TV industry, producing short films and shows. Even though he was reluctant to part with the company, he was soon bought on by a partner. The mark of a true entrepreneur is that when one venture folds or fails, you move on to another. OLeary took his share and never looked back. Kevin OLeary was becoming increasingly intrigued by the world of personal computers and the software behind them. He formed a partnership with their creator and took the role of a seller. While on the phone with potential buyers of their innovative software, Kevin realized that the distribution channels for their product, like theirs, were still in their embryonic stages. Then he got the genius idea to bundle the software with his client's existing hardware. Early on, he fell in love with the idea of licensing. He let the manufacturers license their software for pennies, but they had to ship it out with every single machine they sold. Kevin OLeary got rich using this business model, and he recommends it all the time to entrepreneurs coming to him. The benefits are huge. You use the manufacturing and distribution channels of an established business in exchange for a small fee which turns into millions quite soon. Another key business lesson we find in this book is that you always have to have a backup plan when it comes to financing. Deals come apart unexpectedly, and Kevin was on the verge of losing his software startup when an investor changed his mind. His mother came to the rescue and helped him make payroll for a few months until Kevin could take the company public. This starving phase of the company, although extremely hard, taught him the value of money. It flows in and out, where money thrives and where it disappears. Scarcity of cash is a great teacher, he admits. Kevin and his partners worked hard and were able to list the company on the Vancouver Stock Exchange. They made it. He was a millionaire on paper, and now it was time to make his shareholders rich too. OLeary says that this desire to make other people rich gave him an incredible incentive to grow the company to the billions. Big part of business is having the right people work for you. You have to get rid of the underperformers, the players, the complainers, because they infect an otherwise healthy environment. Keep the process simple and respectful, and then find the people who would be happy to work for you. When looking for the right partner, you have to be willing to make a lucrative offer. If you need their investment and expertise, don't hesitate to part with a hefty percentage of your company. Otherwise, you might end up owning 100% of a dead company. Kevin OLeary's startup, TLC, grew into an education software company on the lower end price point. They started selling in Walmart and sort of revolutionized the software industry. The next step was to start acquiring competitors. Why compete against them when you can own them? Having grown into a large company with an alluring market share, TLC went for a merger with the world's largest toy company at the time, Mattel, the owner of the Barbie brand. The intention was to move both their enterprise online, since everyone was doing their business on the internet. The merger turned out to be a big mistake. There were management differences, a culture clash between working styles, and since Mattel was the bigger company, it had the upper hand. Their giant bureaucratic machine didn't work well in the fast-changing toy market. Having become an employee of his own company, Kevin OLeary couldn't do much. He was shown the door and was required to sign a non-compete contract that prevented him working in the software industry for 3 years. Kevin entered into one of the darkest chapters of his life. He harbored the storm, traveling with his wife and kids and getting reacquainted with them. It turned out to be one of the happiest periods of his family life. OLeary recognized a pattern in his life. After every disappointment or failure, there was a low time. But after that, his life got better. It was time to do it again. He began to see the non-compete clause as a chance to start all over again and do something new and exciting with his life. He was back in business establishing a storage company. It took him and his partner only 3 years to grow it into the second biggest storage company in Canada. But even more exciting was that his TV hobby was about to finally become lucrative. Kevin OLeary made his name in the TV industry with the shows Dragon's Den and later Shark Tank, both of which become huge hits. He and other 4 venture capitalists weigh in on the business ideas that entrepreneurs bring to the show and invested them with their own money. The author devotes quite a few pages to the show and goes in depth about what is expected from the pitchers that appear on the show looking for a deal. The most important things are know their numbers, give a good percentage to the dragons, keep the pitch short and simple, 90 seconds most, don't get personal, let the dragons know how they'll make money from the deal. Kevin OLeary decided to build his own money management firm after his money managers lost most of his fortune. He found a partner who also believed in preservation of cash before appreciation, and they formed the OLeary Funds. They took Kevin's mother's philosophy of value, yield investing, putting money in bonds and stocks that pay a yield or a dividend, and build a family of funds worth $1.5 billion in less than 3 years. It turned out that there are plenty of investors who look for steady, realistic, and predictable growth and focus on yield. The book, Cold Hard Truth on Business, Money, and Life, is the story of a man who worked hard to be successful. It's a roadmap for the entrepreneur, and it's a pleasure read for anyone. Thank you for watching. If you find this video helpful, please share it with us in the comment section below. We appreciate your feedback. Tell us in the comments, what is your favorite book? Can't get enough of reading? Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/readandgrow1, and also on Twitter at twitter.com/readandgrow1.